Here's a little tip for today as far as camping goes. When you get in your tent, always zip the door up immediately. It's been such a stellar day, I can't imagine catching any more. And then it'll be time to set camp up. Woo, I'm gonna be tired. When you camp out like that, it's always good to be tired and you get some good sleep. Yeah, I got to thinking, I just got finished saying I'm gonna park and put an anchor down and get the Selvin all ready for transportation, but you know what? That's what's nice about camping here at Celina Lake is, I don't really have to do anything. The main thing is make sure I don't leave any food in the boat. That's for sure. Even containers that I've eaten out of. Oh, hey, I forgot I had these blueberries left. Huh. Don't leave anything in your boat if you can, because the raccoons will be all over it. I'm back home. Hoosier National Forest. No better place to camp. That the cicadas are coming out, and when they bust out, there's two different species going to happen at the same time. So that ought to be interesting. If they happen here, it's going to be loud. Got to set up camp now. Probably cut myself a little bit short here on time by the time I get everything ready to go, but I'm going to enjoy camping. I'm going to be tired. I'm going to get a good night's sleep. I'm going to get out there and fish tomorrow. But who knows? Maybe tomorrow they're going to hit on black or sapphire or brown or something like that. Anytime I try not to get too hung up on one certain color, because just because they were hitting on it doesn't mean if I was throwing something else, they wouldn't be hitting on it either. Every once in a while here in the Hoosier National Forest, especially when you get off the lakes, you'll have cell service. It's not great. Don't plan on uploading any videos to YouTube, anything like that. You will get a text message or something like that come through every once in a while. Sometimes it's pretty solid too in the campground itself. All right, setting up camp is always pretty easy. Remember, if you're going to do something like this and you haven't done a lot of camping before, even if you have done a lot of camping, if you're looking for a new tent to car camp in, very important, car camp. Can't backpack with this tent. I guess you could. Woo! Be carrying an awful lot of weight. But if you're going to car camp, this is the tent to buy, a Gazelle. Personally, I like the T4. They've got a T4, T6, T8, gazebos. They've got it all. They're not inexpensive, but well worth every penny, I think. This is going on my third year with my T4. I love it, and it's so easy to set up. I never come back from a day of fishing for 12 hours, and worry about, oh man, I got to set camp up. What a drag. I got to put the poles together and all that. It's just so easy to do. Now some may call that a full coverage rain fly. I don't, because to me full coverage means it comes down and covers your entire tent up. The Gazelle T4 or any of the Gazelle tents are so taut. Once they pop out, there's so much pressure and they're so tight that even if it does rain and the rain blows in on the side of it, it's just going to hit it and come right off. Where the durable water finish on the fabric itself, you'll want to treat it probably every few years. Talk to Gazelle, find out what they recommend to treat it with. It's very important that with the rain fly, doesn't come all the way down, because there's several advantages. One, I can see out of it. I like all the windows. I like the doors. Plus, as we get into the warmer months, it's going to be perfect ventilation. Now, I'm going to stake it down. Be sure and always stake it down. Never walk away from a Gazelle when you put it up. If not, it's going to end up in the forest if a gust of wind comes in. I can't tell you how many times I've said this on my videos about people getting in a hurry, taking off, not clearing their campsite, leaving stuff behind. Check this out. Little stake. I should have kept a collection of these. I've probably got dozens and dozens of stakes that I've found throughout the years that people just take off and don't double check their sites. So here's one of the best features about the Gazelle that I really like. It has windows all the way around, but I love these windows. They are just absolutely so cool. And if you get caught sometime in a rainstorm, hot weather, muggy weather, it's pouring, it's bad weather, you've got to stay inside your tent, this makes all the difference in the world. Sleeping at night when the evenings really get warm, up in the 80s and stuff, this makes all the difference in the world. You have ventilation. All this top up here is all screened at the top, but you can see the windows go all the way around. Now, if I needed more ventilation, I could open up the back door there, all the way around, and then there's the front door right there. When I go to bed tonight, I will shut these, somewhere in the neighborhood of that right there. Why do I do that? In case I hear something at night, I can walk over here and look outside and see what's going on. You know, I can look all the way around the tent. You know, I've had plenty of people say before, man, there's no way I would sleep with the screens open so I can see out like that. I don't really get that. And when I asked why, they said, well, I don't want to see what's out there. You know, I don't get that. To me, that's the ultimate ostrich with his head in the sand kind of deal. It's just like, if there's something that has approached and come into your camp, you need to look out, you need to identify it, and you need to figure out what you want to do. If it's an animal like a raccoon, it's going to go on by. Hey, you might catch it trying to get into your boat or try to get into your picnic stuff. You know, you could at least stop it that way. If it's a skunk, I wouldn't think I'd want to get out if it's a skunk. I'd probably just let him do what he wants to do and get out of there. But you know, if it's something a lot worse, then you should have the protection inside your tent that you're going to be able to confront it. You know, don't go into a tent without any protection, without any ways of securing yourself. Shut the tent all the way nice and tight and lay there and think that that's any kind of protection. That's a piece of fabric. Anybody want to get to you, any animal want to get to you, they're going to come right through the piece of fabric. Not to scare you, it's just reality. The more you accept reality, when you camp and you go into the wilderness, the better off you're going to be. Times on my YouTube channel, you know, I'll get a lot of comments and I'll get a lot of questions, which I really appreciate. Anything you ever want to ask or anything, just shoot it there and I'll fire something back and, you know, try to explain this or that. Or sometimes I'll even ask the question. If you know the answer, please leave it in the comments. Let's just take what we were talking about security in your tent. And a lot of people are going to say, you know, Mr. Lawrence, now what in the world, I don't know how to fight. I've never been trained. I don't carry a firearm. What in the world can I do if I'm going to go out camping, especially solo camping? If you got two people, your chances are less of trouble showing up. And especially if you got three or beyond that, very few times anything like that has happened with more than one person around. Okay, well, That was the camp host, Gene. He stopped by. We had a great conversation. We talked about the eclipse, the total eclipse. Oh, by the way, I've got a three-part series on the eclipse that I put out. Went to Patoka Lake and took my boat out on, took the Selvin out on Patoka Lake. That was awesome. That was totally crazy, overwhelming almost. Okay, so anyways, just that quick, it got pretty dark on me right now. So I'm gonna have to finish this discussion about security in your tent, what you should take with you tomorrow. Maybe I'll start it tomorrow morning. Maybe Scream Stick, look it up, Shotokan Karate. But this right here, this is all you need, or this is going to be a tremendous amount of protection. And tomorrow I'll show you what. Sitting at the picnic bench, just sitting there thinking about today, and I thought, man, that was really a pretty good day. As far as fishing goes, 8 fish caught in the boat, 1 crappie, 7 bass, if I'm figuring it right. Now, all those fish got released, and so they're out there swimming happily right now. Maybe with a little bit of a pier slip, possibly. I bet I missed at least 8 of them. And I mean hooked, bringing them in toward the Selvin. And that one, I hope I got it on videotape. It was right at the nose of the Selvin when it flipped up, did the famous bass flip, and bam, was gone. But that's cool. I mean, that's part of the sport right there. Nothing like crashing out. You know, I fished all day. You know, I left at 5 a.m., got up at 4, and, you know, pretty tired. So I'm looking for a good night's sleep. There's a little bit of wind tonight, and anytime there's wind, that knocks out a lot of the little, like, animal noises, stuff like that. He'll knock them out. Anyways, if I hear my friend the owl, I'll be sure and turn the camera on. And if I hear any strange noises or anything strange happens, you know I'll turn the camera on. Hey, I appreciate you coming along. That was a good day of fishing. I don't know what tomorrow will bring. Hey, might get skunked, but still, that's the way it goes when it comes to fishing. Sometimes you catch them, sometimes you don't. Today was definitely a good day of fishing for sure, as far as catching them goes. I'm going to get a good night's sleep. Hope you get a good night's sleep. We'll get out there about 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. Until then, my friend. So earlier I started talking about security and having security in your tent. And I've done this before. A lot of times when I'll camp, I kind of show this. But if this is your first time watching one of my videos with me camping, I'll show you kind of how I got everything laid out in the tent. So this is when you lay down, say it's black outside, you lay down and you're getting ready to fall asleep. What I do is I organize everything so if I get woke up in the middle of the night, just like a startled wake up, and basically it could be some kind of an emergency or whatever's happening, I don't have to think about where things are. I just naturally put them in the same place each time, and that's what. Sitting right next to the cot that I sleep on, straight down. Very important, straight down. There's my Eskrima stick, fighting stick, tactical flashlight, more a knife, and then a couple extra lights. I've got one I'm actually holding right here. And over here is my control to the lights that are on my Selvin fishing boat. So if anything walks into the campsite, dusk to dawn, if you want, motion detector, solar lights, and they work great. And I always keep my keys close too, in case I got to jump up and run out to the car and take off, or for whatever reason. You know, your vehicle can also be a safe place too. You want to be looking for them. Your car is locked and you can't get in your car. So that's the layout right there. And it's always the same. Even in total darkness, I can reach down there and know exactly where everything's at, just by feel. Well, I thought I was going to go to sleep, and I heard a pretty good size bug buzzing in here. And I thought, well, what it is, it's probably on the outside of this screen right here. Oh, there's a couple little bugs right there. But I thought I'd go ahead and turn my light on just to check it out and see. I don't know what that dude is. Some kind of a beetle or something got in, so I need to take that guy out. Okay, I was able to take him out. Actually, what I did was I hit it with my shoe, knocked him down on the bed, and I was able to scoop him up and put him outside. So he can live with the rest of his buddies. You know, it's his home. I didn't feel like killing him. But anyway, it's pretty creepy. You go to bed and all of a sudden, bzzz, and you think, well, it's got to be outside. Turns out to be inside your tent. How many fish you think we'll catch tomorrow? Sounds like it's going to be windy. If it's windy at night, it's usually windy during the day. I think it's supposed to get warm too, up past 80. All right. Man, green pumpkin. It's a good color, but man, I don't have any more of those vibe crawls. I'm sure the fish are biting on something else. All right, time to get some sleep. See you in the morning. It's about 2:30 in the morning, and I kept hearing this buzzing noise. About every 7 seconds, there's a buzz coming from the forest somewhere out there. And I thought, what the heck? First I thought it was my solar lights. I've got these solar lights on my Celina motion detector lights, so if something walks through, like an animal walks through or something, it'll turn on for like 30 seconds and go back off. And I thought, well, maybe the power is getting low and it's like a warning or something. So I walked out there several times and I finally pinpointed it to a campsite. It's not like right next to me, it's like number 4, so it's probably 25 yards away. But they must have some kind of alarm going off or something, and it's every exact 7 seconds. And I know that because I'm counting it down every 7 seconds. So I'm going to see if you can hear it. I don't know if you can hear it on this video, but I'm going to point the camera that way. So I'm not sure if you can pick up on that or not, but it's like crazy. And in fact, the first time I got up and walked out there and started looking around, it went off and stopped. And I saw somebody over there messing around with something, and then now it's going off again. I'd say they got some kind of a camping vehicle that something's low. Battery's getting low or something. It's some kind of a signal telling them that. And they decided, well, nothing they can do about it, and they went back to bed. So I guess I'll go back to bed too. Well, I tell you, I don't know about fishing today because it is windy. There's some huge gust of wind coming over. And 3 o'clock in the morning, if you have high winds like that, it's probably going to end up being pretty windy out there today. So I'll get up and check it out. Where, you know, if it's too windy, just blasting through the top of the trees, I don't know if I'll go fishing or I may just load everything up and head home and just, because yesterday was such a good day of fishing. I'm not worried about that. I'm not worried about getting another day in. You know, I enjoyed camping. It's been a great night camping. Been sound asleep. Here comes that wind. See if you can hear that wind. Yeah, those are some pretty good sized gusts coming over for 3 o'clock in the morning. That's quite a bit. Haven't heard any animals at all out here. It's been a pretty quiet night. In fact, there's been no car traffic coming through. It has been a super quiet night. So I'm just going to try to ignore this buzz next door and go from there. You know, I'm thinking maybe it might be like a CPAP machine or something like that too. I don't know. Whatever it is, if they know what's going on and they're not doing anything about it because they don't care, it's kind of annoying to your neighbors and stuff, you know, that you're making a buzz every 7 seconds. Unless something else happens, I'll see you in the morning, bright and early. All right, I am happy to report that the humming noise outside was definitely coming from the campsite to the west of me. I think it's number 4. And it's so funny because all of a sudden I heard a couple doors slam over there, and then I heard another door slam, and eventually the alarm, whatever alarm was going off, stopped. And like, I thought, oh, that's cool. They fixed it, and I started to lay back down, and about 5 minutes went by, and wham, slam, somebody slamming doors over there. It's like, what the heck? It sounded like they're pretty mad. So I got a feeling it was a machinery manufacturer or equipment manufacturer alarm going off. And maybe they got it fixed now. I don't know. I don't hear the alarm anymore. And I haven't heard a slamming the door for 5 minutes. But the joy of camping, you know. I think that's the only update I have for you. It's kind of funny. Once I get up, see, you know, it's now probably 3:15 in the morning, something like that. You know, it's kind of funny. Once you get up, now I'm kind of wide awake. So, but I'm not going to put the Selvin in the water like I did on the eclipse. Not with all this wind. It is windy out there. It's kind of funny because I am sitting here thinking, you know, I don't know, it's awful windy, and man, it's going to be a real battle with that wind out there. But then I keep thinking, it was windy yesterday, and the fish were biting pretty good. So, you know, sometimes when the fish are biting, you got to go. You got to go for it. So I got a feeling that right now I'm kind of considering going ahead and going fishing tomorrow. Yesterday I was right out there in the channel a lot of times and just had to anchor down, but man, fish were biting. That's what it's all about when you're on a fishing trip, right? Not really. It's all about the fun, not the fish. According to the young man of Patoka last year. Wise words. Wonder how he's doing. Him and his girlfriend. I hope they're doing all right. Or his sister. I don't know who it was. I hope they're doing all right. Wise words. Oh well. It's not about the fish. It's about the fun. Amen, brother. Amen. Well, there goes the noisemaker. That's funny. Well, I got a feeling that their evening didn't turn out the way they thought it was going to, or at least their night. It sounded like that was them packing up, and whoever it was just now took off out of here. Let me check the time. Yeah, it's 3:35 in the morning. So yeah, they booked out of here. Probably woke them up. They probably the kind of person that can't go back to sleep once they wake up. Kind of like me. Safe travels to you, buddy, and hope things work out, and I hope you fix that buzz, whatever it was. That's the camp host, Lonnie, getting ready to open up the front gate. All right, it's about 6 o'clock in the morning, and you can hear the birds are alive. They just come alive out here. It's almost like instant spontaneous. One chirps and they all just go crazy. It's pretty wild to hear. The wind's going to be probably up about 15-20 miles an hour today. Going to be strong. Supposed to get up around 75, 78 degrees, which is excellent. I've heard a lot of fishing boats already heading to Celina, and I'm hearing them head over here down to Indian Lake too. It's going to be a pretty good day. Probably going to be a lot of boats out there. That's okay. Hey, everybody, it's the weekend. It's Saturday, so everybody that can go fishing is probably going to go fishing and canoeing and kayaking and all that kind of stuff. So had a great night last night, except for that alarm going off, that humming noise, whatever happened there. I got to thinking, I think somebody's maybe CPAC, is it CPAC or CPAP machine? Probably was going bad, battery was low, and they just decided, they just loaded up and took off at 3:30 in the morning. One thing on the order this morning, first thing, is try to find as many green pumpkins as I can find, because those were hot yesterday. Who knows? Maybe blue sapphire hit today. Anyways, hope you got a good night's sleep. Get you some good breakfast, drink you some coffee, and then we'll head out there in about an hour, hour and a half. I don't rush out there. I don't get out there first light like this right here, just because I have found most of my fish are caught either mid-morning, lunchtime, or afternoon. I don't really do that good first thing in the morning. I don't know, it might be an old wives' tale. Intuitive Angling with Randy Blockett. And one thing, boy, that I have discovered watching his channel is when he goes to these tourneys down at Table Rock and all kind of other big lakes, you know, down in the South and Midwest. Oh my gosh. It's like wall-to-wall boats. Of course, there's a tourney going on, but even without the tourney going on, you know, even the shorelines are nothing but boat docks and houses, and it's just, I don't know, it's like fishing inside a city to me. This is so nice to have these lakes in southern Indiana where there's no development, nobody out there. Hey, you might see a fisherman now and then, you wave hi, see some hikers go by. This is like paradise. Here, Celina Lake, Indian Lake, Patoka Lake, like paradise when it comes to a lot of lakes in the nation these days have really been overdeveloped to the max. All right, I got some things to do this morning. Catch up with you in just a little bit. Might as well go fishing because we're gone fishing, right? All right. Hello, wind. Yeah, wind's going to play with us today. It's all right. Maybe the big bass will be lurking around. I'll show you the knot that I tie on to the front of the Selvin in order to launch and then load the boat myself. I've really kind of mastered this, and I'm really proud of the way I can do this. It's a pretty big boat, but you know, it's worked out pretty good for me all by myself, and some pretty strong winds too. But this is the knot that I'll use to tie off my rope with. I'll go through the eyelet right there. That's the anchor on the boat. And I come through about this far right here. This is called a bowline. So then I'll take it and I'll turn it just like that right there. Think of this guy right here. This lead is a rabbit. This part that comes down and comes around, the part that goes on to the longer rope, that is a tree. Think of this as a tree. So this comes down, curves around, goes back up in the air, and that's the tree. Now, a tree has to have roots, and this is the roots to the tree right here. This part coming down because the tree can't go anywhere. If you made this the other way, like this, then the tree itself would have no roots to hold it down. But if you turn it this way, so this is your rabbit, this is your root system, and this is your tree. So how you make the knot is the rabbit comes up out of his hole, takes a look around, goes around the tree, comes back, doesn't like what it sees, and goes back down in the hole. You grab the tail and the head of the rabbit, you grab the tree, you pull them tight, there you go. That is a bowline right there. I use those more than anything else to tie almost anything. And the nice thing is they're easy to tie and definitely easy to untie. So let's go through it again. The rope goes through and comes back down, and I usually have about this far. This is your rabbit. This is your root system. You make your knot, you come around just like that. So you got a rabbit, you've got your root system coming down, and then you've got your tree right here. The rabbit, hello Mr. Rabbit, he comes up the hole, he circles around the tree, doesn't like what he sees, and dives right back down in the hole again. Comes out of the hole, goes around the tree, and then dives right back down in the hole again. Then you grab the rabbit's tail, you grab his head with one hand, you grab the tree with the other, and you just slowly pull them apart. You slowly tighten them up, and there you go. I trust that knot 100%, and even if I was to be towed by a boat, it was wet, it got towed by a boat super hard, no matter what happens, you can always turn it around, and right here, you can just always peel that right there, and the knot comes off just as easy as can be. 100%. Yeah, I used to have a windsurfing school years ago. It's the one line you had to tie in order to pass the test to become certified as a windsurfer. Here's one of the best tips I can give you if you're a beginner camper. And a lot of my videos are geared toward the beginner. I get some noise from a lot of experienced people that says, "Come on, Mr. Lawrence, everybody knows that." Not necessarily. If you haven't been shown this before, or somebody hasn't mentioned it before, you may not know it, and this will save you a ton of trouble out in the wilderness. When you get in your tent, always zip the door up immediately. Even if you're just going to be in here for 30, 60 seconds, zip the door up. You get back out of your tent, zip that door up. That may seem so elementary, but I tell you what, so many times in a campground, especially when you have kids, a kid will go over there, unzip the tent, and go in there, piddle around, whatever they're doing, come back out, and I've even seen kids walk away and leave the tent wide open. You can't do that. You can do that in the wintertime, but from here on in, you'll get mosquitoes, you'll get spiders, you'll get ticks, you'll get so many things inside your tent if you just leave it open for just a small period. If I went in there for 30 seconds looking around, I would zip it up, find what I was looking for, unzip it, come back out and zip it back down. Heard some gunshots. Now those are turkey hunters. I'm almost positive that's what they would be hunting, would be turkeys. If you watch episode 1 yesterday when I was out fishing, that turkey came in. I was able to kind of call that turkey a little bit closer just by acting like a hen, and a hen just clucks. That's what a hen will do. And then a gobbler will come up. That's a gobbler. That's a hen. Zip your tent up, no matter what, because believe you me, when you go to bed at night, even 2 or 3 mosquitoes in there drive you crazy all night long. Boy, I can tell, looking out, oh, I see a lot of blue sky up there. It's going to be windy, but almost a 0 chance of rain. Man, I think it's going to be a pretty good day. Like I said, we're going to have to fight the wind, but the thing is wind acts as a camouflage to your boat and to yourself. I'm a scuba diver, so when I used to dive, I'd get the exact idea in my head what it's like to be a fish. Because when you go scuba diving, you go down underneath the water. Let's say you go down 50 feet. Well, you look up, you can see the surface of the water. If it's calm, you can see the boat exactly where it's at. But if it was a rough day, the boat is kind of camouflaged up there because you can't see it. So that's the same way as a fish down below looking up. Now, especially Celina Lake. Indian Lake, from what I understand, is more mucked up. One arm of the Anderson River flows through it. So it's a little bit cloudy. The water's cloudy, but man, I tell you what, Celina is crystal clear. What Randy Blockett would call gin clear. So everything helps you. So even though that wind's a pain to mess with, man, it's your camo. It's like putting camo on. Speaking of camo and getting dressed, I still got the same clothes I got on yesterday. I'm going to get in there in a little bit, change clothes, do a few things to Selvin, eat a little breakfast, and then wet a line. Time to go fishing. I unhooked the Selvin last night. I took the Jeep Liberty down to a little convenience store and put a little gas in the Liberty, and so got a bag of ice and came back. So I just hooked the trailer back up. What's interesting to me is I got to thinking that, you know, with today's backup cameras, they're getting better and better all the time. I just wonder if backing a vehicle up to a trailer and hooking it up and knowing how to do that, if that's going to kind of become a lost art with the fact that you can just watch it now in your camera on your dashboard, back up, and it's going to beep, 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 tell you exactly when it's right, and you get out and just lower it on there, it's ready to go. And especially if you're by yourself and if it's a solo trip, you got to learn to do that by yourself. You got to learn how to get the vehicle lined up, how to come back, you know, in increments, get out, check it, go back in, how to turn your tires left and right in order to hook it back up. It's the same as reading a map. Anymore, everybody GPSes everything. I know a couple people, they can't find their way across town unless they GPS it. Being a general contractor forever in the 80s and 90s and 2000, I used to run a business and go do estimates with a map only. You'd have to figure out, okay, this person lives here, they live over there. There was no GPS, there was no getting on your phone, there was anything like that. Maybe by time 2000 came along, that stuff started coming in. It's important to know how to read a map, to look at a map and know if you're going from point A to point B, whether it's in your own city or whether it's across the country. Learn how to read a map. If you don't know how to read a map, learn how to read a map, because GPS, that signal may not always be there. That signal goes out, you're lost if you can't read a map. It's time to get on out there, out on the water, and hunt those big bass. Oh, yeah. Ready to go fishing? How about yourself? I'm talking about comes a nice little wind gust. That's what it's going to be today. A lot of wind. Man, I tell you, fishing in this wind is absolutely brutal, but if you keep going,